is the Metropolitan Council meeting. Hello, I am Chair Charlie Zully, and I welcome you to this Metropolitan Council meeting on June 26th, 2024. You can see that there have been a couple of changes to the agenda. Unfortunately, some of our artist leaders who were going to make a update on our art and policy fell ill, so we said let's wait until they're feeling better because we really want to hear that. So we'll find time for that in the future agenda. Also, I just want to take this opportunity to mention that there is the special committee of the whole meeting coming up on July 8th. So we may celebrate that there is no meeting next week because of the holiday. We will have two meetings for all of us the week of July 8th and having a committee of the whole on Monday, and that meeting will be expressly to discuss the Blue Line. So with that, and if unless there are any other objection, I will assume the agenda is approved as it stands, which brings us to the council minutes, and those were sent out in advance from June 12th. Is there a motion and a second to approve the minutes?
Approval.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the minutes are approved. Now, you're wondering who these nice faces are I'm sitting next to, and I wanted to mention that. We are thrilled to announce and to introduce Mindy Shipman, who is here shadowing Dawn Hoffner, who I have mentioned before is so experienced, 43 years experience. And I've been at several meetings and I've said, this is Dawn's last meeting because Dawn is retiring. And I actually think it's true because you are retiring on July 5th. So thank you, Dawn. And Dawn's the one I look to and say, this is the time we invite members of the public who have pre-registered to make comments before the council. And this is when Dawn shakes her head and says, nobody has that interest. So I say, great. And not that it's not welcome. Next item is our joint reports, and that's our second quarter budget amendment. And I believe Councilmember Johnson has this.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I am pleased to bring before you your consideration business item 2024-110. It's a joint committee unified budget amendment. The 2024 second quarter budget amendment makes changes to the operating budget in regional administration, community development, MTS, and Metro Transit, and changes to the capital budget in community development, MTS, and Metro Transit. The proposed amendment was reviewed and approved by the Community Development Committee on June 3rd, the Transportation Committee on June 10th, and the Management Committee on June 12th. In regional administration, the amendment adds $475,000 for Phase 2 work on the Council's cultural survey and 2 FTEs to the Chair's office budget. In Metro Transit, the amendment adds 15 FTEs in bus operations, primarily for safety and maintenance work. It also adds 7 FTEs in rail operations for maintenance and administration of the Green Line extension. In MTS, the amendment adds 1 FTE in Metro Mobility that will be focused on customer complaint responses and moves $7.7 million in pass-through funds appropriated by the legislature from the operating to the capital budget. In community development, the amendment adds 1 FTE to the HRA budget for a mobility coordinator and moves $2 million to the HRA capital program to purchase 5 replacement properties in the community choice demonstration program. In the capital budget, the amendment adds $59 million to the Metro Transit ACP for big bus modernization and $44 million to the MTS ACP for small bus modernization. It also adds $21 million for a new regional fare collection system, $9 million for the Gold Line project, and $5 million of local funding in lieu of federal funds for the replacement service providers. In community development, the amendment adds $2.5 million for a grant to the city of St. Paul that is funded by a recent legislature appropriation. The individual projects and their changes are outlined in tables 9 and 11 in our staff report. So therefore, Mr. Chair, the motion is that the Metropolitan Council authorizes the 2024 unified budget as amended and in accordance with the attached tables.
Great, thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion, questions? All right, we have Stuart here. Then I will call for a vote. This is a roll call because it is a budget item. Dawn?
Johnson,
Aye.
Chambliss,
Aye.
Pacheco,
Aye.
Osman,
Aye.
Morales,
Aye.
Vento,
Aye.
Tony Carter,
Aye.
Wolf,
Aye.
and Shirzeli.
Aye. That motion carried. On to the consent agenda. We have a number of business items. Unless anybody objects, we will take them as a whole. Is there a motion and a second for the consent agenda?
So moved. Second.
Thank you, thank you. Any discussion, questions? All right, hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The consent business items are approved. On to the non-consent standing committees. On our Community Development Committee first, I believe, Councilmember Vento. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and council members. Business item 2024-157 is to award $1.5 million in Livable Communities Tax Base Revitalization Account Grant funds to support 4 redevelopment sites. The TBRA provides grants to clean up and redevelop contaminated land and buildings. 5 applications were received from St. Louis Park EDA, Minneapolis, St. Paul, and White Bear Lake. 4 applications submitted are recommended for funding. Upon completion, the projects are expected to result in 5 acres of contamination cleanup, an annual tax base increase of $168,000, 147 full-time equivalent jobs added and retained, 170 new affordable units, including 56 units affordable to household earning below 30% of area median income, 81 units at 50% area median income, and 33 units at 60% area median income. Over $105 million of leveraged private investment. Therefore, Mr. Chair, I move that the Metropolitan Council 1, award 4 tax base revitalization account grants totaling 1.46, excuse me, I'm doing this for the first time in a long time.
Oh,
Botching it.
you're going great.
$1,469,200 is shown in Table 1 below. And 2, authorize its Executive Director of Community Development to execute the grant agreements on behalf of the council.
Great. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilmember Carter. Any discussion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That motion carried. Councilmember Vento.
Okay, hopefully I'm warmed up now.
No, you're warmed up.
The second item, Mr. Chair and council members, is business item 2024-141. It's to award $431,250 grant from the Park Acquisition Opportunity Fund to Three Rivers Park District for the West Mississippi River Regional Trail. The West Mississippi River Regional Trail is a 20-mile corridor in northeast Hennepin County along the Mississippi River that travels through the cities of Dayton, Champlin, Brooklyn Park, and Brooklyn Center. The Rife property is located in the city of Dayton near Cloquet Island and across the river from Anoka County's Mississippi West Regional Park. This 5.5-acre parcel of undeveloped land has over 200 feet of Mississippi River shoreline with high-quality natural resources, including floodplain forest, grasslands, deciduous forest, and Mississippi River backwaters. Three Rivers Park District is working to create river touch points throughout the corridor, providing visitors the ability to physically connect with the Mississippi River. The proposed acquisition is consistent with the council-approved long-range plan for the West Mississippi River Regional Trail and the requirements for the funding sources. On June 6, 2024, the Metropolitan Parks and Open Space Commission voted unanimously to approve the proposed actions. On June 17th, the Community Development Committee voted 5-1 to approve the proposed actions. After the June 17th Community Development Committee, council staff arranged a conversation between Councilmember Wolf and Three Rivers Associate Superintendent to discuss additional information that Councilmember Wolf requested. Councilmember Wolf learned more about Three Rivers plans for this trail, including which parcels they plan to acquire. Three Rivers remains interested in additional acquisitions along the river to provide additional visitor touchpoints and conservation benefits. Therefore, Mr. Chair, I move that the Metropolitan Council, 1, approve a grant of up to $431,250 from the Park Acquisition Opportunity Fund to Three Rivers Park District to acquire a 5.5-acre parcel located at 142nd Avenue in Dayton for the West Mississippi River Regional Trail. Number 2, authorize the Executive Director of Community Development to execute the grant agreement and restrictive covenant on behalf of the council.
Thank you.
Second.
There's a second. Any discussion? Councilmember Wolf, and I appreciate the thoroughness of our minutes, and that we've all learned a lot, but you especially.
I think I need to clarify a little bit. That made me sound really stupid.
I didn't mean that wasn't intended.
So I had been asking for about a year, how many parcels were they going to acquire? Full parcels rather than easements, because if you have too many, then it becomes a linear park. And I couldn't get an answer from staff. They didn't know. And so I said, I'm not voting for any more of these until I get an answer. And so I finally got my answer from Jonathan Flaming from Three Rivers. And now our park staff knows exactly what their plan is also. So I just think it's important for us to have a good understanding of what the actual goal is. Just saying, well, we might acquire some parcels is a little too loosey-goosey for me. I like to be a little more accountable than that. So I got an answer and I'm good now, so I will be voting for it.
Great, thank you. Well, thanks for that explanation. I appreciate that. And I appreciate that we're all voting for it. So with that, any other discussion?
Mr. Chair.
Councilmember Johnson.
Serving on CDC with Councilmember Wolf, I really do appreciate the perspective that she brings and the history, and of course, her knowledge of parks. And so it was an interesting question for me too. Is it an easement or is it full parcels? And we've had this discussion on some others over the past several years. So I wish I could have made it with you to that appointment that day, but I had my day job, which pays my mortgage. So anyway, I just appreciate, the way you dig into things, and I was really grateful for you bringing that up. And I know this is in my district, but I think it's really good for us to really know the details and ask questions when we have them. So thank you, Councilmember Wolf.
Thank you.
There are no bad questions. Thank you. Thank you for the comment. Any other comments? All right, hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? All right, that motion carried. Thank you. Thank you, Councilmember Vento. There are no reports from the Environment Committee nor the Management Committee, but there is from the Transportation Committee. And I believe Councilmember Chambliss is reporting on those reports.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair, council members. Business item number 148,
Yep.
is for the council to receive income from MnDOT to provide the local match for the Metro Transit 2023 Low or No Emissions Grant. In summary, in June 2023, Metro Transit was awarded an FTA Low or No Emissions Grant. In November 2023, Metro Transit was awarded state funding from the MnDOT Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act Discretionary Match Program. The state award fully covers the local match requirement for the fiscal year 23 FTA Low or No Emissions Grant. This grant agreement enables the council to receive $2,902,100 from MnDOT to match $17,532,900 in awarded federal funds for the FTA fiscal year 23 low or no emissions grant. The proposed motion, therefore, Mr. Chair, I move that the council authorizes its regional administrator to execute a MnDOT-administered grant agreement 24I-026, which will provide $2,902,100 in matching funds from MnDOT's IIJA discretionary match program and applied toward Metro Transit's awarded FTA fiscal year 23 low or no emissions grant.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion, questions? We like partnerships with MnDOT. All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that motion carried. Councilmember Chambliss.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, council members. Business item number 2024-150 is to award and execute the contract with Shaw Lundquist Associates to provide construction services for the Hopkins Rail Support Facility. In summary, this contract is for the construction of a rail support facility, which includes a single-story, approximately 23,000 square feet, pre-engineered metal building. The facility will be used by rail operations to support maintenance activities on the Green Line extension. Procurement facilitated a public bid opening on May 7th, 2024, and 3 bids were received. Shaw Lundquist Associates, Inc. is the low responsive and responsible bidder and recommended for award. Therefore, Mr. Chair, I move that the Metropolitan Council authorize the regional administrator to award and execute contract 23P171 with Shaw Lundquist Associates, Inc. to provide construction services for the Hopkins Rail Support Facility in an amount not to exceed $14,141,521.82.
Thank you. Is there a second? Thank you. Any comments, questions? I have one quick comment. This is a really great contract, in part because it is below what we had budgeted fairly substantially, and we've had a lot of history with the Green Line extension, but not with bids coming in under our forecast, and so that's great news, and it really looks like it's a real contract and great contract, so.
Yes.
Any other discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that motion carried. Councilmember Chambliss.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and council members. Business item number 2024-162, same week, is to request that the Metropolitan Council authorize scheduling and conducting public hearings for the Metro Blue Line Extension Supplemental Draft Environment Impact Statement SDEIS in July 2024. The SDEIS was distributed on June 14, 2024, with at least one public hearing required to provide opportunity for comment on the SDEIS findings. 2 public hearings are planned for July 16th and July 23rd. The council's public hearing procedure requires authorization when the scheduling public hearings. Additional commenting opportunities include written comments online, via email, or at upcoming events. Therefore, Mr. Chair, I move that the Metropolitan Council authorize scheduling and conducting public hearings for the Metro Blue Line Extension Supplemental Draft Environmental Impact Statement SDEIS on July 16, 2024, from 5 to 7 p.m. at North Point Conference Center, 1256 Penn Avenue North, Suite 5200 in Minneapolis, and on Tuesday, July 23rd from 10 a.m. to noon at the Brooklyn Park Library, 8500 West Broadway Avenue in Brooklyn Park.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Just to remind everybody, Councilmember Vento.
I have a question.
Yes.
You can go ahead.
I was just saying that we're starting this whole SDEIS process. We're taking comment. It's really an important phase for the Blue Line and a very specific process. We can get into it later, but I think capturing all comments in a very formal way is very important so that we ensure that the public community is not left without opportunities for it to be formally part of a record of action. So with that, Councilmember Bento?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm curious, with these two public hearings on July 16th and July 23rd, who will people be speaking to when they come to those? Who will hear them?
Thank you for the question. I'm gonna, while Nick Thompson comes to the podium, I will say that some council members will be there, other public officials will be there. I expect to be chairing at least the first meeting. It is a formal process. We don't all have to be there, but it is an opportunity to listen and to have members of the public kind of address us as public officials.
Chair, council members, that is correct. More than welcome to attend. I know we're trying to have at least the chair or other council member, a couple council members. Hennepin County Commissioners will also be there. We're confirming how many Hennepin County Commissioners, and there might be different ones at each of the two public hearings. So, but it's for the public to speak, and they prefer that they speak to policymakers, and then we will document all of the input at those public hearings too.
And I will actually say, we are all, as council members, welcome to come.
Yeah.
If you have any interest or want to know more about it, feel free to reach out to me or Nick.
It's a publicly noticed
Already
meeting.
publicly noticed.
All right, the other question I have then is, are like local mayors and city council members invited to participate as well?
Chair, council members, all public would be invited. The step after this SDEIS public process is the municipal consent process, and each of the cities will have their own public hearings also. And then there'll be another public hearing we have. And so council members and mayors, I expect, will be making comments in different, multiple forums as part of each of these individual processes.
And then one other question, if I could, Mr. Chair. Will these be virtual at all or only in person?
Chair, council members, tomorrow night there is a virtual hearing, public meeting where we present the results. We have some in-person meetings, and then we have ability to take public comments via email, phone, by voicemail, phone calls, or some in-person events. So there's a variety of places, virtual and in-person, that comments can be received.
Great. Councilmember Chambliss, then Johnson.
I just wanted to confirm that I plan to attend both of those public comment events on the 16th and the 23rd of July.
Right. And I think one you may be chairing.
Yes.
That sounds like
I
fun.
was going to tell you later, but bet you're available.
I just say yes.
Councilmember Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And SDEIS, the Supplemental Draft Environmental Impact Statement. So it will be a hearing on that.
Yes.
And I think we want to keep it to that, even though it's an official public hearing. So maybe other people will bring things in, but it is really about that process in and of itself. So I don't think we would maybe stop people from, we don't want to limit, but it is about this thing. I just want that to be clear. It's not just a general.
Our regional administrator.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Councilmember Johnson, you teed up the question I wanted to ask Nick on the record just for clarity here. So, Nick, if you could help me answer this, could you summarize just in a couple sentences the aspects covered in an SDEIS so we get a sense of what is covered and therefore kind of a part of that comment?
Sure, Chair and council members, great. So it's a supplemental draft. It's the environmental impacts of the proposed alternative for the Blue Line extension. So it has chapters on noise, vibration, impacts to climate, impacts to environmental justice, natural resources. And so we're documenting those, and then we are, any that have adverse impacts, we are seeking ways to mitigate that. And so we will take public comment on anything within that document. And then also suggestions for mitigation of any of those impacts are welcomed in this public process. And a comment received at the public hearing is treated the same as a comment submitted by email or on it, but it needs to be officially submitted in one of our pathways, but they're all treated equally.
And Mr. Chair,
Yeah.
I plan to attend both of those as well. I haven't really been part of any of the discussions, so we're kind of getting, in the pipeline. There is no pun in that, but close. And I just think it'd be really great to, and I'm going to try to get this read. It's a lot. So if there are cliff notes on it, that'd be great. Also, I just wonder, what is our communications plan for this? So, are we going to do notification of anybody who has come to things in the past that we've captured, emails for? Are we going to do any sort of notification along the corridor within a certain amount of feet, like we do in local government when things like this happen? For those that might not have internet, that might not be able to get it through regular means, that will be, heavily impacted through that whole corridor. I think it's just really important to make sure that, if people have a chance to read it, and maybe through social media, although not, I'm just knowing that not everybody receives information like maybe a lot of us do. So just wonder what the communications plan is for this.
Yeah, great question. Nick?
Chair, Commissioners, great question. A couple things. There's an executive summary, so that's a synopsis of it. That is a good starting point. Also, for those not on Transportation Committee, this Monday, we gave a presentation of the results, and so I think that's a good high-level summary also, encapsulation of some of the major impacts. In terms of how we're trying to reach the public, we have direct mailing within a half mile or mile of the corridor of all addresses. We have a paid campaign that are directing through social media and other avenues, directing people towards providing comments. We also have community groups that we have hired that have multiple languages and multiple community groups that they have better access into different populations along the corridor. We are using board meetings and using our city resources and county resources, so in many different ways. And then we also, this is a regional investment, and so we're hoping that we get people from the entire region that are reviewing and commenting, and not just those within the corridor. So we're doing some broader marketing to make awareness for people that may be in different parts of the Twin Cities that haven't been necessarily seeing some of the project development over this time. So it's of relevance to everybody in the region.
Thank you. And Mr. Chair, I just do appreciate also, even though they're both being held on Tuesdays, we've shifted the times because not everybody, again, can do it at night or day. So I know we're casting a wide net on this and trying to get as many people to participate. And if there is any way to put the link in our social media about the Transportation Committee's meeting, that people could just, hit that link hot and kind of see what that recap is if they can't make it to it, and just at least be informed via that might be nice. I ask things, I'm not really sure if I wield that kind of power, but Mr. Chair or somebody, I just say it's easy if you see a link and like you can get, some discussion that went through transportation to ahead of this or instead of this. So I just appreciate everybody's efforts on this, and I think it's a great process to be part of if you choose to participate in it.
Yeah, we'll make a note of that. Thank you, Councilmember.
Chair, I'll just add also, we're accepting comments through August 6th. And so not just the public hearings, it goes a little beyond that too, so.
Great.
It
Thank
had
you,
been
Mr. Chair.
requested, we go past the, what's it?
National Night Out.
National Night Out,
Oh.
get it right, which is the 5th. So this will actually be extended to the 6th.
Thank you. And Mr. Chair, just one other request. If council members could receive these two invites in our inbox, we can accept or decline. That would be really helpful. It just helps me to be able to have that plugged in so I know where I'm going and when I need to get there with all the other stuff that sits on my calendar.
Yeah.
I'd appreciate that.
Sure.
Thank you.
Do we know, Councilmember Jan, please?
Thank you, Nick Hansen. Nick Thompson did such a good job of the recap. So he did mention the meeting that we had at the Transportation Committee meeting on Monday, which I think provides great history and summary information. So I would recommend it as well, to review that.
Yep. Any other comments? All right, we have a motion and a second. And if hearing no more discussion, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed. All right, that motion carried. Thank you, Mr. Thompson.
Wow, and those invites are already in our inbox and I accepted them. Whoa.
That's the power.
That's it, man. Thank you.
We are real-time organization. That is our business for the day, and as I mentioned at the beginning of the meeting, our information item will be postponed. I only have one item I wanted to call everyone's attention to. You got an email earlier this afternoon that the Department of Housing and Urban Development will be announcing some grants in 20 different locations around the country I'm not sure what level of detail I can tell you, but there will be a ceremony, an event here tomorrow in this room at 10 o'clock, where an undersecretary from HUD will be here to hand a big check, which will run across to the bank tomorrow morning, and both for us and for our subrecipients to really look at ways to support affordable housing through eliminating unnecessary barriers. So it's kind of an exciting day, and I'm really thrilled. Very last moment for us to scramble to get ready to accept that and to host the event, but they're excited, and so are we.
And
So
Mr.
be here
Chair,
if you can.
just on that good news, I just want to thank our community development staff too, and everybody who, works, to bring money in and then works to get it back out the door. It's a lot, and yet it's work that we really appreciate, so thank you.
With that, does anybody else have anything they want to share? Councilmember Bent?
Some of my colleagues had to hear this earlier in the lounge, but I want to share it with everyone today. The South St. Paul community has a monthly gathering called the South St. Paul Issues Meeting on the fourth Wednesday morning of each month. And it's always a great way to learn a lot about the community in that part of our metro region. It includes city, school district leaders, county commissioner, legislators, business leaders, nonprofits, Inver Grove Community College, Dakota County Technical College. It's just a great cross-section of individuals. And as well, they're the head of their local cable TV group is always there. As we each go around and we go around the table and each get a little update. And just prior to my remarks, one of the school board members talked about some upgraded emergency incident policies and plans that they had completed as a board and had shared with the district staff. And then it was my turn to give an update. And I had a few words out of my mouth and then happened to notice police cars with flashing lights and sirens encircling the community ed building, which is right across from the high school and the Kapolja County Library. And the chief of police and the fire chief, who were also at the meeting, immediately directed us to get out of that room and into a windowless pre-identified room. And they did a lockdown at the community ed, the library, and the school. And so we stood in this kitchen prep windowless room for I don't know how long, till we were told we could come out. And it ended up being an ironic but really, I think, beneficial experience, for all of us to go through that. We now know what it's like to be a 6-year-old or a 16-year-old in a school setting, or business person in a business, or anybody anywhere where there's an emergency incident and you have to immediately lock down. At the end of the meeting, the police chief gave us the details on what had happened because we were all dying of curiosity. Turned out that a vehicle had been stolen in Inver Grove Heights. Neighboring police were alerted. South St. Paul police quickly identified the vehicle within their jurisdiction, and it just happened to pull up in front of the school and the community ed center. So it was quite a morning, but those emergency incident issues are critically important, and I hope that at all of our facilities we have those kinds of plans that we take out and dust off and refresh and regroup. They're pretty important.
Thank you for sharing the story, and that's the world we live in, and we're being prepared and empathetic with situations like that are happening. Anything else? Regional Administrator.
I got more good news. We'll stay on the HUD topic and community development, because why not, right? We're on a roll. Let's keep it going. Excited to share that the Metro HRA recently received notification from HUD that we received a rating of high performer for 2023 under the Section 8 Management Assessment Program. Twice, because here's the big one. This is our 20th straight year now of achieving the high performance. This is a big deal, and it gets to a significant and important milestone, 2 decades, but also showing a level of excellence in how we run the program. So for people not as familiar with CMAP, There's a number of criteria, but some of them include efficiently using funds to house as many families as possible, admitting applicants to the program according to selection policy, accurately verifying family income, correctly calculating the share of rent for each tenant, applying sound, reasonable rent policies to ensure that we're correctly priced, inspecting units in a timely fashion, and ensuring landlords promptly correct housing deficiencies. So when we think about our work as an organization, we think about our work impacting individuals and families, we think about our work in trying to be equitable and how we approach work with every single person in our community. This is living out those values in ways that we should be proud of. Kudos to the team. I know they get to celebrate near the end of July as a group, and really appreciate the opportunity to get to share that here today. While we stay with CD, I'll just say I got a chance to jointly present with Lisa Barajas on Monday night to the American Planning Association Minnesota chapter here in town, talking about specifically 2050, Imagine 2050. But the conversation, as it often does, was far more than that. It ranged from new planners who have been in our region for as short as 2 months to people who, well, some of whom are in the audience who have worked here. And it was a group that really brought that together. But we talked about the role of the Met Council. How is it unique as an MPO within the country? What roles do we all play? What are the challenges facing our time, and how do we work to address that? And it was great having an opportunity to do that with Lisa, who can showcase through experience and working directly on that work on behalf of her team what that looks like. And so that was a real neat piece. So there ends the multi-issue spotlight here of community development. Thank you.
Thank you. Great news. You're welcome to have these comments anytime. And congratulations to the team. And with that, Mr. Pacheco.
Mr. Chair, members, just to let you know, we held our first EAC meeting, Equity Advisory Committee meeting with the new members. It was basically this meeting, because it was the first one, we chose to do an orientation on what the role of the EAC is, and introduced everybody and had very diverse backgrounds. So it went very, very well. Yes, Councilmember Yasmin and Councilmember Tony Carter attended as well. We had great, it was good information. Good. I learned some things as being part of the orientation as well. And so I'm looking forward to this coming year and get the work that we were set out to do.
Well, appreciate that. And John, Councilmember Pacheco, thank you for your leadership and as well as Councilmember Osman and Councilmember Carter. I mean, we've talked about about this advisory committee for some time, and I know we've had a few false starts and alignment, and it really is going on a good path. So I appreciate that. Yep. Right. Ms. Chief Counsel.
Yes, I thought you were going to forget about me there,
I'll never forget
Mr.
about
Chair. To answer your question, Councilmember Venta, we do have emergency preparedness plans, and actually the employees are in the process of taking a new learning and development class to make sure we're up to speed on those plans. So that's a timely question. I was just doing that on Monday. So it reminds us of all of the facilities and things that we have available to us here, so that we have that muscle memory if we have those issues, which we all hope that we don't. And that's all I have, Mr. Chair.
All right. The sun's out. It's a beautiful evening, beautiful day in Minnesota. Thank you for meeting. We'll see you have a good holiday week. We'll see you in a couple of weeks.
July.
This meeting's adjourned. Right.